Hello everyone and welcome to a special Mogi video where I will be going over every single track and the hot takes you guys gave me on Twitter and YouTube for each track. And I have a timer going for each track because that's how long they are. I'm not going to be able to see any of the races in this because I would be just doing too many things at once and that would not be good. But let's get started with the takes, alright? So, Excitebike Arena is the better baby park because no lapping chaos and actual tech to do. It's fun. Well, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with the fact that it's a better baby park. I think the only people who would disagree with that are people who like baby park because it's super chaotic. And I don't think anyone except for like super casual players would like the chaos, at least the amount of it that it gives. Anyways, moving on. So I'm going to put these both like kind of next to each other, next two takes. Excitebike Arena is genuinely one of the worst tracks in the game. It's literally baby park with a few ramps in larger scaling. Don't get the hype in lounge. And Excitebike Arena is one of the best tracks in the game. Very techy, simple, and always a fun experience. So, which one do I think is correct? Well, I don't like Excitebike Arena. I think it is closer to baby park with a few ramps. But I think if you have fun on it, I don't really blame you. I can kind of see why people enjoy this track. It's not fun to me, but I can see why people will enjoy the fun, especially at the end of the track. That's the kind of chaos I want to see, is like at the end of lap 3. But I don't want it to be super chaotic, but that's just me. And final take, Excitebike is the best track on this list. And that is crazy considering the amount of crazy tracks that are on here. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to see about this one. Yeah, I don't know about that one. But yeah, on to the next race. Okay, now on to Squeaky Clean Sprint. I only have 2 takes of this track, but here's the first one. The bathroom you are racing on I think that's right. Squeaky Clean Sprint, can I please talk, isn't actually squeaky clean. It's more like kind of clean sprint. I mean, why would you have tennis balls in your bathroom? And what's up with all these toothbrushes lying around? I don't know why my English suddenly turned into in my head, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, the bathroom, the only clean looking thing about it is the fact that it doesn't like visibly have dirt in it, you know? Like you can't see any dirt on the track. And you know, I know some of you probably don't have as clean looking bathrooms as this track, but you probably keep it better cleaned than the actual track. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it's super disorganized and stuff, but you know what? It's kind of relatable too. Some of us have bathrooms where we just have a bunch of stuff flying around for no reason, so I guess so. And then the other take was Squeaky Clean Sprint. Maybe it's just the track, actually. It's probably one of the most enjoyable tracks if you learn how to race it properly. Most tier lists I see have this in C or B, which sucks because this track is genuinely a fun track. And I actually put in my tier list, I recently just made one, and I put it in S. So I'm going to have to agree with this. I know, crazy, right? But actually, like, I see a lot of people who just, like, hate how, like, I don't even know how you could hate on this track. The typical stuff that you have problems with on tracks are like, you know, the ending is way too chaotic, or like it's way too luck based, or it's, you know, it's not that fun to drive. But all of that is like good on Squeaky Clean Sprint. Like there's no chaos at the end. It's fun to drive, and it takes a lot of skill to use your items well on that track and to know where to use them and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Alright, moving on to LA Laps. So, for this one... Oh, okay, there it is. Los Angeles Laps is single-handedly the worst track in the game. Dull, predictable, and little chance to create chaos. I don't know where you got the part about little chance to create chaos, because at the end of every LA laps is just a absolute fuckfest every single time, without fail. So I don't know how that happens. I can get why you think it's dull and predictable, because it is very predictable, and anything up until lap 3 after last set literally doesn't matter. So I can get behind why you might even think this is the worst track in the game, because it's just like, I don't know, it feels like nothing matters, and there's nothing like crazy going on. I used to think it was very boring myself, but now it's just kind of, you know, I think it's kind of fun in order to drive, and also in terms of like what's going on the track. But yeah, it's not like super exciting, I would say. And also, we have this take from Kana Mafun. Can't say much about LA Laps other than the track or the song is very, very good. And that's all I care about in the tracks, which is very interesting. I don't really pay too much attention as to the soundtracks of every track. I don't know if it's because like I'm focused on actually racing or something else, but I don't know. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below. Do you like certain tracks more than others because of how good the song is? Is that an actual thing? And also, what is your favorite track song, I guess? I know a lot of fan favorites is Dolphin Shoals, and a lot of people like a bunch of retro ones, maybe like We Rainbow Road or something. But yeah, I don't really have an effect on whether I like the track based on the music in it, but I guess maybe since it goes towards theming or something, I can get that. But yeah, anyways, moving on. All right, now we're moving on to Mute City. Mute City is the single best track to have as a specialized runner in the game. Now, at lower levels, I would say definitely this is probably, especially if you can get the final shortcut down, like even 80% of the time, which that's pretty good. I don't even think it's 80% consistent, but if you could somehow get it to like its max consistency, then I would say, sure, yeah, this is probably one of the best specialized tracks, because you get a bunch of coins at the beginning, and everyone gets the same amount, and you're going to be, basically, if you don't get bumped out at the beginning, if you're first, you will just stay in first the entire time. So, yeah, you really just have to worry about blue shells and shocks, and the track itself doesn't really hinder you with shocks and blues, because there's just so many boost panels everywhere. But, yeah, I think once you get to higher levels and people start to get the shortcut down even, like, better than 50% of the time, you're going to find that it's way more RNG, and it's just not that good of a track, to be honest. I wonder why I think that. Maybe it's because I think it's the worst track in the game. Okay, Mute City is a average to decent track, but super hated by most people who can't play it well. Well, I hate it, but I usually get great spots on it for whatever reason, because people are terrible at it, because no one picks it ever. And for like the 1 or 2 people that pick it in lounge, at least where I play at, even they don't get great spots majority of the time, because it's not a good track to get consistently good spots on. And Mute City is the most boring track in the game from CPE. Yes, like duh, hello. There's just nothing going on here. It's just a bunch of boost panels with sidebar coins and like 3 turns. Yay, so exciting. I love this track so much. It's so good. I can't wait to play it every single time it gets picked. It's just the best thing ever. Yeah. Anyways, get me out of this track, please. I do not want to talk any more about this. Okay, Grumble Volcano. These had some takes all over the place, so let's get into it. Grumble Volcano is the worst Wii track in the game, and is really just a lower mid-tier track. It doesn't feel nearly as nostalgic as the other Wii tracks, and the theme is a little underwhelming. It really reminds me of Ice Ice Outpost, where the track layout barely interacts with the actual theme of the track. Also, the music is very overrated and not memorable at all. I feel like this is the only track where I can remember the music majority of the time, which is funny. But anyways, worst Wii track in the game. I mean, you have Moo Moo Meadows. Like, that's just objectively worse than like any other Wii track. I think a lot of people hate Wii Rainbow Road in this game. Maybe Daisy Circuit is not liked as much as Grumble. I feel like Grumble is generally liked a lot more, and it's probably on top 2, top 3 Wii tracks in this game, and maybe even in just the Wii, you know, Mario Kart Wii in general. Yeah, that was I mean, it was hot. I'll give them that. And the other take that I had is Grumble Volcano lost its driving identity. Track, it isn't. Sorry, and it isn't the fun challenge it used to be. No rock hop, respawn cut, or large shortcut potential to make it hell to play on from the back. And it just lacks the soul it used to. At least it's pretty, I guess. I don't think people disagree with this that much. Now, the problem is making the rock hop work in this game would have been interesting. However, I will say, Nintendo really made the DKS double work, and I think if Grumble Volcano came in as DLC, it's very possible the rock hop would have existed. It probably would have saved a lot less time, or it would have been easy enough just like the double cut to make it like basically doable on every single lap. But yeah. Anyways, there's one last thing I want to look at before we go, because I didn't know if this was possible. Grumble Volcano is visible from Bowser's Castle 3. So I'm going to look at this real quick. We're going to take a little break from all the takes and see if this is true. Alright, I'm on a mission to try and find Grumble Volcano in Bowser's Castle 3 somehow. I don't know how, I've never heard of this before. But, let's find it, I guess. I guess I'm just going to fast forward until I either find it or I don't. Wait a second, is that it right there? Is that what they mean by the Grumble Volcano? I don't know if you could count that as Grumble Volcano. Let's see if we could find it anywhere else. Oh! Did they mean this? I mean, it kind of looks like Grumble Volcano. Way over there? Oh, it is! That's gotta be Grumble, right? Way over there? Can I get a better, like, view of it? That's gotta be Grumble. That's just gotta be. It looks like there's track over there, but it doesn't look like the shape of Grumble Volcano, I can't lie. But that is definitely the volcano from Grumble Volcano. There's just no shot it isn't. That's pretty funny. I didn't know about that. Cool, I guess. Alright, now we're on the New York Minute, and from Don Sid Music says, New York Minute is overhated, simple as that. It's a fun, satisfying drive on a gorgeous track, and it deserves more love. You know what? Can't agree more. Yeah, I know. Me, who has it in S tier, thinks it's overhated. Wow, crazy. But seriously, like, I mean, the track is simple. It's not crazy difficult to drive. It's got a lot of cool strats too that can make you outplay your opponents, and it just looks so good. And I think this is how slippery physics will work on every track, really, because it's just a lot of, you know, slight. It barely affects your driving. It's not like overbearing to the point where you can barely drive it without anything happening to you. It doesn't feel like you're constantly in a blooper, unlike some ice tracks. But yeah, it's just it's a lot of fun every time I play it. Even though sometimes the shocks make me want to die every single time. Yeah, sometimes every time. Yeah, anyways. New York Minute has one of the best overall track layouts any track in the game. Now this, I have to disagree with. Even though I love the track, I don't think the track layout is particularly special at all. It's kind of just, I mean, with the way it interweaves with one another, with itself, I guess, it's okay, but it's not that crazy. Like, there's nothing super unique about it. But everything else in terms of like driving, shortcuts, that's all great. All right, Mario Circuit, GBA. So this is an interesting take from Mies, I will say. It's the only good base game bagger. Now, when we think of base game baggers, I think of Dry, I think of Cheeseland, I think of... What else? What else do I think of? That's really all I can... Mario Circuit, 8, MKS, what else is there? I guess that's Baby Park, and... What other base game? There might be one more that I'm missing. Oh, Yoshi Circuit. And Animal Crossing. You know, it might not be too far off. I think I prefer Animal Crossing the most out of any of those. But Mario Circuit is somehow like top 2, top 3, which is crazy. I think a lot of the other, like the DLC tracks, are much better at bagging in terms of track itself. My mind was just jumbled there. Yeah, this was a general sentiment too. Caleb, a gamer, also agreed that it was very fun to bag. And Big Floppa says Mario Circuit is better than 80% of this list. So 80% is probably 9 tracks. That's 75%. So it's better than 9 tracks in this list. That's wild. Just so far, I don't think it's better than any track. Maybe Excitebike, I guess Mute City, because everything's better than Mute City. But the rest, no. But you know what? Pretty hot, I guess. Moving on to Daisy Circuit, it's an underrated bagging track due to the bolt extension and the fact that the shortcut goes into a glider, which allows for Walmart shock dodges. I'm guessing what they mean is, like, if you shroom up into the cut and you get shocked on the glider, you're also basically dodging. I feel like if more people bagged on it consistently, it would be much more notorious for bagging. Now, I feel like the fact that it has a shortcut that has a glider on it makes it less of a bagger, because, you know, if you just have a shroom going into the cut, into, like, the front, for example, if there's a shock, then you're benefiting even without dodging. But I think that's just a different mindset. I do see the bolt extension kind of giving it that a little bit of flavor that allows it to be a bagging track. But I think it's way more of a runner, and Humble MK agrees with me. I feel like after the first cut is when it becomes super easy to run and there's not much going on the track, so it's not like it's super difficult or there's a crazy shroom shortcut or shroomless shortcut that allows people to catch up in some way. It feels way more like shock is a big factor on the track, kind of like Daisy Cruiser, which has a almost same abbreviation as this, which I think I saw one person confuse, even though I think someone gave a take on Daisy Cruiser, even though it was supposed to be Daisy Circuit, which I put the tracks in full. But anyways, I don't even remember. I don't even think that's correct, to be honest, now that I'm talking about it. But anyways, I think it's if I just say one way or the other, it's definitely a runner. But it's kind of like Daisy Cruiser, where shock is just so impactful that bagging it, honestly, if you can do it super well, is probably better for that player, I guess, is to bag it, because you'll probably get more consistent results, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's just a wild track, even with how simple it is. Dolphin Shoals is the best use of underwater physics, other than Piranha Plant Cove. Even then, it's a pretty close second. Yeah, so about water physics in this game, I think it's just awful in general. And the water physics basically do nothing on Dolphin Shoals, in my opinion. It doesn't feel like there's a way that it affects the track. it comes in at like bland parts of the track, and then it comes out like you come out of the water in basically parts where it doesn't matter as well. So it doesn't feel like the water really affects the track. And I think Piranha Plant Cove is really the only track where they got the water physics right. So yeah. Anyways, all the other tracks feel like the water physics make the track worse, in my opinion. So like Piranha Plant Slide, I'm trying to think of Sherbet Land, even though there's barely any, feels like the water makes it worse. What else? Water Park doesn't feel like does water physics very well, and it comes in very randomly too. Yeah. It feels like it doesn't really do anything to the track, rather than actually affect it. Anyways, Dolphin Shoals is goated, because it's a very unique track in the game. Heavy use of water physics, interesting multipath, shake trick best on the eel, and motion glider make it fun to drive. You named like 3 things about the track, and those are the only 3 things that are going on. There's like 2 turns. Okay, let's count the turns, right guys? One at the very beginning, a very long turn. I'm not really counting the one going into the eel, and then the final turn. So there's three turns, really. I guess if you want to count the very final turn as one as well. So there's 4. There's 4 turns on the track when it's like 2 minutes, 20 seconds long. Not very exciting, in my opinion. And the ramps don't really make it any better, or the eel, in my opinion. And finally, Inorf says, you need to respect this track. I don't need to respect shit about this track. Anyways, moving on to a better track. Alright, moving on to Mushroom Gorge. Mushroom Gorge is a stupid track, which you have to rely on lap 3 shock for you to win. It's basically all RNG. I mean, I guess. It's kind of random where the shocks happen, but especially if you bag this track, it doesn't feel RNG to me. Now, if you run, I can get it, because sometimes you'll just get first because you'll kind of stay in second / third for the majority of the race, and you'll eventually pull shrooms more often than not, and be able to take the gap jump at the very end, especially if you know how to use your items well. But if shock happens, you're screwed a majority of the time. But if you bag the track, it doesn't feel like you're ever not in a dodge, because the track is so short, and there's a bunch of sets for you to take advantage. And the running accountant has the very exact opposite opinion, which is that it's an ideal track for skilled players. From Star Gap to Fence Gap, skill is often rewarded with higher placements. And I think I can get behind this a little bit, especially if you know how to do some of the ending super balance strats. At a lower level, that's the case, and even at a higher level, some people don't know how to do the like super bounces closer to the end to make you save a little bit of time. And doing the star strat gains you a lot of time. Doing fence gap over just regular gap cut at the end is, you know, it basically gives you a free free spots. And because at lower levels they definitely don't do it as much, and at higher levels there's still people who refuse to do it. And finally, General JF says, Mushroom Gorge is more luck-based than Baby Park. How? In what way? I don't understand. Just bag it. Just go do the super secret coin strat every time. No one has to know. Alright, moving on to Madrid Drive. Madrid Drive is great until lap 3. The last set determines the race or the rest of the race and ruins the track. I don't even know how you can say this. I feel like whenever I go into last set, that's basically the spot I'm getting every time. Now there is some spam at the end, which doesn't help the track, but the track is really wide at the end, so it's not too hard to avoid all of it. And I don't know, it just feels like there's not much that happens after last set, to be honest. But maybe at different tiers, you'll find this to be the case, where it just feels like there's so much spam and shocks happen way too much at the last set. I don't know. To me, it feels like I just always get the spot I get when I go into last set. And I saw this other take quite a quite often, which was that Madrid Drive is the best city track. And now, I think you can have this opinion. I don't think people will get mad at you for it, but I don't know. It's just not... It's not super exciting, but at the same time, the way the track plays feels like it's better than most any tracks, even city tracks. City tracks, I feel, are way more notorious for crazy endings, where it's just like, shock will always destroy you or make your race. Now, that's not the case for Robavanti, I would say, but for Madrid and Rome, those are like two different cases, as opposed to the rest of the city tracks, in my opinion. But it's just not like... I don't know. There's nothing crazy going on, and there's nothing... I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of talking myself into thinking that this is a great track, honestly. I think I have it high up on my tier list, but I don't have anything crazy good to say about it, I guess. But, like, the driving is cool. Like, everything's, like, almost elite, but, like, in between above average and elite. Does that make any sense? Like, there's nothing amazing about the track, but there's nothing bad about it at all. So, yeah, I guess that's what I think of it. Alright, the final track of the video, Wario Stadium. This had a lot of takes. I mean, this and Excitebike Arena both had the two most, the first and last. Which, I mean, it makes sense because these are the two most common tracks in the game. But, yeah, so let's get started. Wario Stadium is a track you should pick while in bottom 2 instead of top 2. Did I start in bottom 2 in this race? I don't remember. But either way, I think this track should be way more considered a drafter. Even though it's not really a drafter, if that makes any sense. Like, you should be picking it for drafting spots. Because of the fact that top 2 don't generally get the first turn Ultra Mini Turbo very easily. Whereas the spots behind it can get it, like, for free, essentially, especially if you're on Squeaky. But everything behind top 2 basically gets the Ultra Mini Turbo. That saves, like, a bunch of time. And even though first can get the first 4 coins of the track super easily, even if you don't get the Ultra Mini Turbo, it just feels like it's complete RNG as to whether or not you stay in the front, because people who go tight and get the UMT are going to be saving, like, 0.4 on you, essentially. And you basically have to hope that nobody hits you before you get to second set, because by that point you should be ahead of them, even if you don't drive particularly well, because you're going to have 4 more coins essentially than everyone else on the track. But yeah, I think for it being... You shouldn't be picking it for bottom 2 either, just because you have to go through so many things. I would rather see it for a mid spot. Like, whenever I get it for mid spot and lounge, like, everything behind first for me, because I can get the first turn UNT even in second, because I play Squeaky and it's free. I'd rather see it for, like, 2 through 5, in my opinion, than anything else, I would say. Even, like, if I get it for first, I don't really like it. But anyways, other takes I saw were that Wario Stadium was really overrated, and I think everyone's come around to that, essentially because it's like, well, I guess it's just way too chaotic at the beginning. It doesn't feel like anything good happens to the skilled players even, to be honest, just because everyone knows how to drive it nowadays. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I don't know if I'm going to do this kind of style of hot takes video again, but I think this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you got to send in a bunch of your hot takes, so have a good one. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Yeah, if you guys can hear that, that's the timer I used for this, but yeah. Bye-bye.